Many flagship phones of the past are actually really good value options today. So does the Google Pixel 4 make that list? Let's take a look. So this Google Pixel 4 comes with a Gorilla Glass 5 back and a Gorilla Glass 5 front, alongside a frosted white back on this particular model, and a nice accent button, an orange one, and an aluminum frame. So no fingerprint smudges here, thankfully. Also, it comes with a dual lens setup. Let's talk about the age of this phone. This phone came out in October 2019, so it's 3 years old. And that comes with some caveats. First of all, it comes with the fact that this doesn't have 5G. That may not be a deal breaker to most, but for that niche category of people who actually do want 5G, this may be a deal breaker. This device is 162 grams. It is pretty light, but it doesn't feel cheap. This comes with an OLED display on the front. It's a 90 Hz OLED to be exact. And it does feel quite nice, but the only problem is that it's adaptive. Now that is not a problem in and of itself. Sometimes it jumps down to 60 Hz when I'm scrolling. So you may not be able to see this because you're watching a 30 FPS video, but sometimes it does jump down. So the processor on this particular device is the Snapdragon 855. Now the Snapdragon 855 isn't the slowest processor in the world, but it is quite old. The 855 came before the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. So yes, quite old. The phone also comes with 6 gigs of RAM, which isn't too bad for a budget phone, but for a flagship phone in 2019, it was too little. So this phone is actually quite nice because it is small. It is very one-handable, and that is quite nice for everyday use. It's actually 5.7 inches, so tiny in 2022 standards. This also has an always-on display, which I personally don't use. Why, you may ask? Because of this teeny tiny battery. And you know what isn't good for this battery, which is 2,800 milliamp hour battery? This also comes with 18 watt fast charging, which isn't too fast in a world where 67 watts is basically the norm. The haptics are very nice on this, I will admit. And yeah, it kind of runs very smoothly aside from the adaptive refresh rate problem. It is this motion sense feature. So basically what you can do is you can turn on this motion sense. What it does is it allows you to use this gigantic bezel, which basically means that you have 77% screen to body ratio, and put it to use. Now, is the use worth it? I would doubt it. So as you can tell, it turned on by itself without me doing it. It's kind of the nature of this thing. It's kind of finicky. So let's try turning it off. Pause. So it paused. Let's try to skip. It skipped. So it kind of gets you into this flow. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You actually have to remember where you put your hands. Otherwise it will actually be very hard to navigate through the phone. Let's take a look at the speakers. So yes, it is a little one-sided because the bottom firing speakers are way louder than the earpiece speaker. So one big problem with this phone is that it only comes with 128 gigs of storage. 128 gigs of storage is not a lot for a device in 2022. Even in 2019, 128 wasn't acceptable. Now personally, I don't mind. My phone actually has 128 gigs of storage, but when you're buying a phone for $300, when there is so much competition from many different brands like Redmi, Poco, and Oppo, you have many other options with expandable SD card storages and just more storage. This has UFS 2.1 storage, so a little bit slow for 2022 standards. let's take a look at the back. Let's look at the battery. The battery is not very good on this device. Because it uses motion sense, it drains the battery like crazy. So I believe at the beginning of this video, it was at 75-ish%, 73-ish%, and it drained down to 70%. It is very, very bad with battery optimization because, as I mentioned before, the motion sense does not help it. Okay, so we might as well take a look at the facial recognition. So the facial recognition on this device is actually quite nice. It unlocks extremely fast. The only problem is that when you're wearing a mask, it can't. Obviously, it's using facial recognition. So personally, I would have preferred a fingerprint scanner on the back or in the display or on the side, you know, like the Google Pixel 4a. Thank goodness they got rid of this gigantic bezel here on the Google Pixel 4a. Let's talk about the cameras. So the cameras on this device, you know, obviously Pixel device, should be good, right? It comes with a 12 megapixel wide lens and 16 megapixel ultra wide lens. The actual sensor on the wide lens is the IMX363. So it's the same old lens they've been using up until the Pixel 5. So if you're looking at the Pixel 5, it's not too bad of a camera. The actual software on this is quite good, again, because this is a Pixel device, so it does process images quite nicely, but personally, I don't think 12 megapixels will stand the test of time. So the software on this device is quite nice, bloat free, of course. This is Pixel, pure Android. I really do enjoy it. What isn't great about the software is the lack of software updates. This will only get Android 13, and that is the cutoff. So if we take a look, yes, this phone will only get Android 13, so that is the last update. Now, although other phones, budget phones of today, only get around 2 years of software updates, 2 years is better than none. If you take a look at the photos aren't too bad. They are not too pixelated. The resolution on them is kind of, the cameras aren't too pixelated, but personally I find the telephoto to be way better than the wide lens. And the actual video is quite stable and clear. This is a video on the Google Pixel 4. Right now I am hand stabilizing this. So it's kind of stable, to be honest. I'm moving this a lot, something reasonable. And this is like, you're crazy. Okay, a quick 2x optical zoom. And by the way, if you have a phone, tell me what it is. If you have a Google Pixel phone, tell me what it is twice in the comments below. Why not? So thumbs up for videos. So we have Wi-Fi 5. The selfie camera isn't the greatest. I've taken photos of this, as you can see here. And you know, for 2022 standards, 8 megapixels is way too little. That's like tablet cameras. So yes, not very good front-facing cameras. This does have wireless charging because it has a glass back. So my verdict, who do I recommend this to? I only recommend this to the elderly. And why, you may say? Because the problems with this phone does not affect the elderly. Things such as OS updates, battery, and the specifications of this device don't affect the elderly. I do not recommend this to kids because those features, as I mentioned before, do affect kids. Because yes, sometimes they are playing Genshin and they do go on road trips where they do actually need a good battery. So I think this isn't a great phone, and unfortunately, no, this is not the value king. This should not be considered in terms of a good value flagship phone. I would suggest looking elsewhere, or even taking a look at different phones completely, maybe looking at some budget phones that have better processors, better specs, more updates, you know, the whole bunch, the whole package. If you're looking for a good value phone in 2022 and you're not looking to spend too much money, you should take a look at the Poco F3, which I'll put over here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below what phone you have. Okay, and I will respond to every single comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.